Okay, good evening all. So I just waited for you to join, and since two students join, I will start the class. So before I start the class, actually, I want to tell you, to be honest, I'm really disappointed with with uh, the behaviors of the new badges. I believe that. I know that all of you are more capable of doing, much more better than us. And I received information that most of the students do not join the lectures. Most of the lecturers inform me that most of the students do not join the lectures. And they asked me to check that one as well. So I really disappointed regarding the behaviors of the new batches. I'm not blaming you guys, right? Since you have joined, I'm telling you. I'm not blaming you three, right? I'm happy that at least you three joined the lectures. I'm just talking about the others. Don't behave like that. Uh, since others may at least refer to the recordings. I know that you can refer the recordings and gather the knowledge and do the exams and do well than us, right? I believe that you are capable of doing better than us. It is the real situation. You have more access. You can even search everything. You have access to the Google. You can simply go to the internet and search everything, right? You can use AI tools and you can do self studies more because we have very limited time and we try to teach you something more in the class as much as possible, but you can do more self studies and do your exams well, only referring to the recordings and the lecture materials and even through the AI or whatever the material sources you have. But it is better as undergraduates, uh, you know, uh, it is better to have good behaviors within the class, not only in my lectures, for the other lectures as well. I just need to tell you this one within my lecture since the research methodology module is for the new batches. So I need to tell you in my class because I received the information. I received the information regarding this absenteeism for the other lectures as well. So that is the most important notice I need to give you today. That is not actually the blame. I just need to, tell you to behave better in other classes as well because most of the lecturers are visiting lecturers and most of them are state university lecturers, visiting lecturers. So they expect some, good behaviors within the classes, right? So although you are participating online lectures, you should be behave better, right? We don't ask you to turn on videos or, you know, sometimes we ask questions and you don't even tell the answers, but we don't blame you, no. But the behavior is really important, although you are participating in the online lectures, right? So that is one of the most important thing I need to notify you before I start the today's lecture, right? Don't misunderstand me. That is just a advice and not a blame, right? So, and I'm not blaming you three who joined the class today. If I summarize the things before I move to the lesson 4. So in our last class, we finished the lesson 3 that was about research ethics. Um, and we discussed about the ethical considerations when it comes to engineering side. And we discussed about how the institutionalization happens when it comes to the engineering ethics. And mainly we identified 3 objectives under research ethics as uh, this protection of the participants and ensuring the accuracy of the scientific knowledge and to protect intellectual property rights. So those are the major 3 objectives, right? All the other reasons, other objectives are covered under these three main objectives. So it is better to remember these objectives, three objectives, to protect the participants who take place in your research study, right? And also if you refer to any sources, any resources, or any scientific knowledge, you should protect them. And you should protect the accuracy of the scientific knowledge as well. And if you are referring to any intellectual or property, you should protect their rights as well. And then we discussed about three types of research misconducting areas. So we identified this FFP research misconducting areas: fabrication, falsification, and the plagiarism. Under fabrication, right, if I just summarize you, under fabrication, what happened is we just show the non-existent data. And moving on to the falsification, what we do is we manipulate the data, or sometimes we try to omit the data just to get the desired outcome. Sometimes we can't get the exact 100% outcomes as we plan. So in that case, we tend to omit the data in order to get the accurate, outcome in our research, right? And then the third one is plagiarism, right? So if you directly copy another person's idea or their wordings, their processes, or their research ideas directly, if you just copy and paste without giving proper credit or proper acknowledgement, so it will be categorized under plagiarism. So that is also a research misconducting category, right? So fabrication, falsification, and the plagiarism. Sometimes you may feel like fabrication and falsifications are a little bit same, but there is a little difference, right? Under fabrication, you show non-existent data. ඔයාගේ data set එකේ නැති data ටිකක් ඔයාට ආවේ නැති result එකක් ඔයා පෙන්නනවා. falsification එකේදී ඔයාට ඕනි result එක ගන්න ඔයා manipulate කරනවා. ඔයාගේ materials, equipment, එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ data ටික ඔයා manipulate කරනවා. සමහරවිට data ඔයාගේ process එක හදාගන්න ඔයාට අවශ්‍ය trend එක එහෙම නැත්නම් pattern එක මොකක් හරි final outcome එක ගන්න ඔයා data ටිකක් omit කරනවා. right? ඒ වගේ දෙයක් තමයි falsification එකේදී වෙන්නේ. right? Plagiarism, I hope you know the base. Fabrication and the falsification, right? I just need to differentiate those two. And then we discuss about the advantages and the limitations, and we discuss more about the engineering ethics as well. Then we talk about these precautionary principles under engineering ethics. And this type of engineering, different engineering aspect, different ethical criteria we discuss in our last class. So, then if I move to the lesson 4, right. Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. So lesson 4 is about the proposal writing. So I hope this will be a good guide for you to develop your research proposal as well, since you are asked to develop your proposal for your final research. So this will be a little help. So up to now, we have completed up to research ethics, and we have only 2 more parts: proposal writing and the critical review part. So I will try to finish the proposal writing part today. And yes, so moving on to the research proposal development, right? So that is actually one of the most important thing we need to identify before we move to the research development itself, right? So research proposal, that is actually like your plan, your entire plan that shows you what your research is about and how you are going to do it, right? It is like a roadmap for your entire research, right? Just like you are planning, you are developing a plan for your business project, or just like you are planning a trip, right? Same as that one, just like you are planning a trip or a project, you have to develop a research plan as well to start a good research. So that research proposal is your plan for your entire proposal, entire research, which help you to plan your study, your research study step by step, right? So this is like your initial step of getting the approval as well to start your research, right? So that is a very formal document which you develop, and you need to prepare it before you start your actual research, especially if it is under your degree programs or something. To get the approval and to start your actual research, you have to start with the proposal development first, right? So it works like a good roadmap and a good plan which guide you for your entire study, right? So in this proposal, what you basically do is you explain what your research is about, and you explain why it is important to the community, why it is important. Let's say if it is regarding engineering side, you have to explain, okay, why it is important to the engineering side, why it is important to the community, and you have to explain how you're planning to carrying it out, right? So each and every steps you have to state, you have to clearly explain in your proposal, right? So that means you are not doing your research yet. At the moment you are developing your proposal, you have not done your research, final research, right? So you are just explaining your research idea in detail to the institute, to the audience, to the reviewers. You are just explaining your research idea step by step in detail, right? So that may be for the purpose of getting the approval, let's say. For any purpose, you are just explaining your research idea to the community, to the audience, right? Without doing it, right? So you should be very careful in that case, because this is the place you get the proper feedbacks, proper reviews, even the approvals, right? So everything you can receive at the beginning, from the beginning, if you develop a well organized proposal. We also call this proposal statement, research proposal as statement of intent, right? We also call it a statement of intent. That means you're clearly stating what you want to do, and you're clearly stating um, how you are going to do it, right? So it is like a clear statement regarding your research. So you show that you have a clear research problem. You show that you have a clear research question, and you show that you are ready to explore it in an academical way and a scientific way, right? So that is like a proof you are giving to your audience that you are capable to study it, and you are capable, you are ready to explore it in a academic way. So your research proposal is, it should be a well-organized one, because it always shows that you are academically prepared to carry out your research study, right? So that means you understand your topic, you show that you have reviewed the related studies, you always try to show that you know which research methods are suitable for your study. You always try to show that you know the research method that you are going to follow, right? You know that you always try to show that, okay, this is the sample, this is the population I'm going to study, right? You have to show it to your audience before you start your study. So if you have a good proposal, it will give you the confidence as well, right? It will give the confidence to the others as well, that they will feel like, okay, you are ready to do your research in a professional way with high responsibility, right? So especially if it is academic task, your audience, your examiners, your reviewers, your institutions, right? So they will feel like they will receive a confidence that, okay, these students will receive, these students is ready to conduct this research professionally and in an academic way, right? So that confidence can be developed through a good research proposal. And another thing is, this is usually read by your supervisors, right? Your research proposal, that is usually read by your supervisor and also, let's say, your colleagues. Sometimes your external examiners will review your proposal. Your institution will review your proposal. Your lecturers, your review board, academic review board will review your research proposal, because they are the audience. They are the audience of your research study. So in that case, their job is to assess your proposal and decide whether this proposal is a strong one or not. Their job is to assess whether, okay, this is a realistic one or not. Their job is to assess whether, okay, this is worth doing or not. So based on their feedbacks you received, you may get the approval to move forward. Or as on the other hand, you may receive some feedbacks to revise your proposals as well. Both parts, both scenarios can be happen. Sometimes with minor corrections, your proposal will be accepted. Sometimes without having any corrections, directly your proposal can be accepted. Sometimes they may ask you to revise your proposal, right? All the feedbacks you will receive, in written feedbacks will not be received, right? Because it is an oral communication, right? It is like an oral communication. You have to present it to the audience. You have to present it to the examiners. So they will give you the comments, feedbacks, and after a couple of days, they will tell you whether they have accepted your proposal or not. So that feedbacks you received is really important to carry out your research. Although they accept your research proposal, they will give more feedbacks. Because usually for the review board, right, for the reviewer panel, that reviewers, usually they may have more experiences, right, academically and professionally. They may have more experiences than you and also than me. So they will give more comments, more feedbacks, right, to further develop your research idea, right? Sometimes to revise your objectives, sometimes to revise your time plan, even to add more reviews, even to add more research questions, even to add more, let's say, change some methodological part. So they will give some ideas as well in your proposal review part. So that will be a good, chance for you to further develop your research idea. Right? සමහර වෙලාවට initial අපි research proposal එක present කරන වෙලාවට අපිට ලොකු idea එකක් නැහැ. Right? මොකද අපි 100% scientifically strong අය නෙමෙයිනේ. අපිට කියන්න බෑ අපි හැමදේම දන්නවා කියලා කියන්න බෑ. ඒකට අපි present කරද්දී අපිට අපේ හොඳ perfect plan එකක් තිබ්බත් review board එකට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට එන්නේ හොඳටම experience තියෙන අය research ඕන තරම් කරපු කට්ටිය. right? එතකොට එයාලා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ideas දෙනවා පොඩි පොඩි වෙනස්කම් කරන්න, objectives වෙනස් කරන්න. ඔයාලට achieve කරන්න බැරි objectives ඔයාලා state කරලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා ටිකක් adjust කරලා වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනි විදිහ. right? ඔයාලගේ analytical part එකේ මොනවා හරි issues තියෙනවා නම් ඒවා adjust කරන්න ඕනි විදිහ. right? time plan එකට උනත් timeline එකට උනත් ඒගොල්ලෝ adjustment කරන්න ඔයාලට guidelines දෙනවා. guideline feedbacks දෙනවා. right? reviews දෙනවා. ඔයාලගේ topic එකේ මොනවා හරි අඩුපාඩුවක් තියෙනවා නම් topic එක adjust කරන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ ideas දෙන්න. right? ඔය research topic එක කියන එක අපිට initially තියෙන topic එක සමහර වෙලාවට අන්තිමට කියන්නේ final research එකට submit කරන දවස වෙනකොට adjust වෙන්න පුළුවන්. right? It is totally fine. අපි research එක පටන් ගන්නකොට 100% correct 100% accurate හරිම topic එකක් අපිට state කරන්න බෑ. අපිට සමහර වෙලාවට research topic එකට පොඩ්ඩක් adjust කරන්න වෙනවා. literature review එකත් එහෙම. අපි initially ලියන literature review එක අපිට අන්තිමට submit කරන්න බෑ. මොකද අපි හිතමු අපිට research එක කරන්න 1 year එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි හිතමුකෝ 6 month period එකක් තියෙනවා කියලා. ඔය 6 month period එක ඇතුලේ ඔයාගේ topic එකට ඔයාගේ research area එකට related තව අලුත් researchersලා අලුත් studies කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඔයාලගේ literature review එක day by day update වෙන්න ඕනි. හරිනම්. right? අපි අද literature review එක ඉවර කරලා ඒක පැත්තකට කරලා තියන්න බෑ. ඔයා research final research එක submit කරන්න සතියක් තියෙද්දි ඔයාට literature review එක තව ටිකක් update කරන්න පුළුවන්. right? literature review කියන එකත් update කරන්න පුළුවන් තැන. right? introduction කියන එකක් අපිට ලියලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. data analysis අපිට data collect කරලා ඒක analyze කරලා ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. literature review එකක් අපිට update කරන්න පුළුවන්. topic එකක් අපිට adjust කරන්න පුළුවන් ටිකක් initially තියෙන එක match වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් අපිට ඒක වැරදි නම් ඔයාලට reviewers ලා comments දෙයි. ඊට අමතරව supervisor ගෙන් comments උත් හම්බ වෙන්න ඕනි. right? So that benefit is there once you submit a good proposal. right? But only thing is you have to submit a well organized good proposal. Otherwise you can't at least receive the feedbacks from the examiners and the reviewers. And another thing is, in most of the institutions, your research must also be approved by a special review committee called Institutional Review Board or else Ethical Review Committee. Right? So that committee will check whether your research is ethical or your research is a safe one, especially if it is involved with the people, right? So they will check whether it is a safe one or not. So they took at, they will, took your research proposal and they will look at it. And they will look at how you plan to collect the data, how you are going to deal with the people, what about the privacy of the people, right? How we are going to protect the privacy, right? If there are any, they will check whether there are any harmful effects to the persons you are, trying to get the help, or they will check whether there are any harmful effect to the participants of your study or so on, right? All the ethical criteria and the safety side they will evaluate, right? So, and then they will give the approval. So this happened if you are dealing with, highly involved with the people, and even you can't begin your research until your institute and the review committee approve your proposal. Right? So, basically, your research proposal is your entire plan, right? So that is your good plan for your entire research journey. So it must be a clear one. It must be a detailed one and a well-organized, well-prepared one. So if you have a strong proposal, strong research proposal, it will help you to gain the approval without having any delays. And even you can avoid the mistakes as well that can be happen in your research. And even you can carry out your research very smoothly without having any delays if you submit a strong proposal. So take your time to prepare your research proposal properly, right? So you have more than enough time to submit your proposal in your final research, right? So I think, as I remember, proposal submission is on June, right? After your examination as well, right? So we skip your examination dates and we put it on June. just to give you the time to prepare your proposal properly and submit it in a good manner. So take your time, right? Don't wait until the last minute. Take your time and prepare it in a well organized manner, right? In a clear manner, because the quality of your proposal that will often decide the success of your research. Even you can get more feedback from the supervisor and also from the institute and also from the review panel as well if you submit a good proposal, good quality proposal, right? අර ඕනාවට එපාවට proposal එකක් හදලා සබ්මිට් කරන්න එපා. ඔයාට හරියට රිවීව් එකක්වත් හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ එතකොට. right? ඔයා නිකන් සබ්මිට් කරන්න ඕනවට අපි කරදර කරනවට ප්‍රොපෝසල් එක සබ්මිට් කරලා අන්තිමට රිසර්ච් එක කරන්න පටන් ගත්තට පස්සේ එතකොට තමයි අමාරුව වැටෙන්නේ. right? එතකොට හරි කමෙන්ට් එකක් නැහැ. right? ඔයා සබ්මිට් කරන එක බලලා අපි ඇක්සෙප්ට් කරොත් එහෙම ඔයාලට හරි ෆීඩ්බැක් එකක් නැතිව කන්ටිනියු කරන්න බෑ. ඒ නිසා හොඳ ක්වොලිටි ප්‍රොපෝසල් එකක් සබ්මිට් කරන්න. මං හිතන්නේ අපි දැන් ටයිම්ලයින් එක දීලා මාස 2ක් විතර තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලන්ට. ඒ නිසා හොඳට ටයිම් එක අරගෙන ප්‍රොපෝසල් එක ලියන්න. right? You can refer anything, right? So it is not a big work, right? So that is your initial one. Just study your selected research area, right? So I think most of you had submitted the supervisor details and the comments. If most of you have not received, find out any supervisors. We will look at that one and we will try to facilitate a supervisor. So they will also guide you to develop a proposal as well. We will try as much as possible and as soon as possible to allocate a supervisor to those who do not have a supervisor. So take your time, right? So my advice is take your time and work slowly and develop your proposal in a good manner, right? So otherwise you will be on a trouble. So that is my advice. And so moving on to the purpose of the research proposal, right? So here we are talking more about the proposal writing. So the major purpose is, this is actually your main part of your study before you actually begin your research study, no? Right? So one of the first thing your proposal should clearly show is the issue and the problem of your study that you are going to address at the end of your study. So that is very important. You need to tell your readers, you need to tell your examiners, you need to tell your audience that, okay, this is the research problem and why it is matter, right? Why we should study it? What is the reason? Why it need to be studied further? You have to explain it, right? So very simply, you have to clearly explain the research problem that you are going to address at the end of your study. So if there is no real issue, or if it is not clearly explained in your study, in your proposal, then the research may not seem necessary and you will not get the approval for your research. So the first purpose of the proposal writing, proposal submission is to clearly and carefully identify a clear research problem and a research question. Right? So, and another purpose is you have to show your research design as well. In your research proposal, you have to show your research design. What is mean by that? Research design. How will the research achieve their objectives? That means you need to explain how you are going to do your research. Right? So what is the method that you are going to use in your study? Will you conduct a survey study, or whether you are going to interview people, whether you are going to have one-to-one discussions, whether you are going to conduct some lab tests, whether you are going to conduct some experiments, or whether you are going to analyze the data in secondary or primary data, whether you are going to study the documents available, or will your research study or research method would be a qualitative one, or maybe it should be a quantitative one, or whether you are going to follow the mixed method. So everything you have to explain under research designing part, even in the research proposal, right? So you also need to explain where you are going to collect your data. What about the selected population, right? So how you are going to collect your data? What is the method you are going to collect the data? What is the method you are going to analyze the data? So that part is also really important because it will show you that your research is a well-planned one. Even your reviewers will have the confidence that, okay, this student have a good plan to carry out that study, right? And also achieve your objectives in a proper and a systematic way as well. You can show the step-by-step plan of your study, right? So this is your plan of your research journey. රිසර්ච් එක කරලා නැහැ. ඔයා එක්ස්ප්ලেইন කරනවා වගේ plan එක. මේ රිසර්ච් මෙතඩ් එක තමයි මම යූස් කරන්නේ. මෙහෙම තමයි මම data collect කරන්නේ. මේක තමයි මගේ population එක. මේ sampling method එකෙන් මම population එක select කරගන්නවා. right? මේ method එකෙන් මම data analyze කරනවා. right? research instrument එක විදිහට මේ විදිහට data collect කරනවා. right? ඔයා හොඳ plan එකක් තමයි මෙතනදී explain කරන්නේ. ඒක reviewers-ලට idea එකක් එනවා. ඔයා research එක කොහොමද කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. right? So you should explain it in a proper way under research designing part as well. That is another purpose of submitting a research proposal, to explain the research design of your research journey. And another important purpose is you have to show the benefits of your study as well, benefits of your research. Right? You have to explain, okay, what about the contribution of your study, maybe to the, let's say, engineering field, or let's say to the community, right? You have to explain the benefits, right? How your study will contribute, right? Will it solve any problem in the community, or whether you are going to improve any processes, whether you are going to identify any new knowledge in a specific area with new techniques or something. You have to explain the benefits of your study. If you have a good proposal, right, it always show how your research will be useful for your selected field and also for the community at large, right? So it is not just for you as a student, but also for the others as well, right? Others means the community, right? Especially if you are, since you are engineering students, you should show the benefits, right? The contribution of your study to the engineering field and the community as well. What is the purpose? What is the significance of your study? So that area, that explanation will help you to convince your supervisors, convince your examiners, your reviewers, your university that your study is worth doing and you are capable of doing that research. Right? So that is one of the major purpose of submitting a proposal. Right? Okay. So if we further discuss about the importance of submitting a research proposal, so that is very important because it helps you to clearly define your research problem and the research questions you want to study in your research journey, right? So many students may have, they may have a general idea, but they may not fully understand what exactly they are trying to find out at the end of their study. So writing a proposal will help you to focus on your thinking and your specific area as well, right? So it may force you to ask yourself, okay, what you are going to do, right? It will force you to think yourself, right? What am I really trying to study through my study, through this research, right? So is this important to the community? What is the purpose of doing this research? What is the significance of doing this research? Right? Is it very important or not? Right? Is it important for the community? Is it important for the, let's say, for the engineering field or not? You can ask from yourself as well through a research proposal. right? And also your supervisors and the examiners as well, reviewers as well. They can even understand your research goal through the research proposal, right? Without having a proposal, even we can't identify your research goal and your research idea. This is where you explain your research idea in a proper way, right? So that is why I told you that research proposal, it work as a plan, a roadmap for your entire research journey, right? Because it show all the steps you will take, including the timelines as well you will follow, and all the resources that you will need to have in your research, right? So that process should be more organized and more manageable. So when you have a good plan, it is really easy for you to stay on track while meeting the deadlines as well. Even you can avoid the confusions, any mistakes that can be happen during your study, right? So at the moment you develop your research proposal, you have to develop a timeline as well, right? A Gantt chart, a timeline you have to develop, right? Based on the deadlines you receive from your university, you have to develop your own timeline, right? So then you can, have a proper plan and you can stay on track. Even time to time, you can check and check your progress as well, right? So that will be helpful for you to, avoid any last minute pressures and the stress as well. Just like you plan before a journey, that will help you to reach your destination very safely and very smoothly, right? So that research proposal help you through that path to complete your research successfully without having overburden and overstress, right? So that's why I told you that take your time and slowly develop your proposal, right? Take your time and slowly develop your research proposal, right? Don't wait until the last minute, right? Don't take unnecessary burden, right? Because you have the exams and the assignments, other stuffs you have, and also you all are working guys, no? So don't wait till the last minute and get unnecessary pressure, right? So, and another very important thing is this research proposal will help you to get the approval to start your research. So your university, your supervisor, and your reviewers, they may be even need to be sure that your topic is important, right? They need to be sure that your methods are suitable, your research is an ethical one or not. And based on their reviews, they will give the approval to continue your study, right? So well prepared proposal that will make you to, get the approval very easily. So without a good proposal, you may be asked to revise your proposal, or even that will delay your entire work as well. Let's imagine you in your proposal review part, right? You asked to revise your proposal, but we don't revise the final deadlines. Although you asked to revise your proposal, we don't revise the final deadline, right? Final research submission deadline will not be revised. That will be same for the entire batch, right? So although you asked to revise your proposal, it will delay your entire research work, right? So be careful, right? මං කියන්නේ බය වෙන්න කියලා නෙවෙයි. හොඳ good quality proposal එකක් submit කරන්න. ඕනෑමට එපාවට අර නිකන් assignment එකක් submit කරනවා වගේ proposal එකක් නම් submit කරන්න එපා. Right? Okay. So moving on to the characteristics of the research proposal. You know that a good proposal should have several important characteristics that will make your proposal more strong and more effective, right? So one of the major thing is you should outline all the steps in your proposed research, right? So you need to describe what you are going to do step by step, right? From identifying the problem to the collection of the data and to the analytical part as well. You have to explain step by step everything. So it will give everyone a clear picture about your progress, right? Process. So that the others also can understand how you will complete your study, right? So, and another thing is, the second thing is your proposal should provide you with intellectual context. Provide yourself with intellectual context. What is mean by that? Intellectual context. That means you need to show that you understand the background of your topic, right? So you have to refer to the previous studies. You have to refer to the previous theories related to your research. So that will show that your study is not just based on the random ideas. It is built on the existing knowledge and theories as well. And we can assure that, okay, this student is aware of what has already been done in their selected area. So that is what we mean by intellectual context. You should know the background idea, background knowledge of your selected research topic. And another very important key characteristic is you must justify your research. Right? You need to explain why your study is important, right? Why does this topic need to be explored further? What about the research gap you have identified, right? What gap does your research fill in the community? You have to explain them. So by answering this type of questions in your study, you can convince your readers, your audience, and your reviewers that your research is valuable and your research is worth doing, right? In the, let's say, in the engineering field, you can justify that while justifying your research idea. So that is also a very important characteristic of a research proposal. And the creativity should be there, right? Always a well-organized, good proposal encourage you to be more creative. Even though the research is a very formal and official one, you can still think creative. Right? In how you choose your topic, in how you design your research method, in how you suggest the solutions, you can be more creative. Even though the research proposal is a very formal document, you can be creative. Right? That creative කියන්නේ and රූප දාලා ලස්සන්ට report එක submit කරන එක නෙවෙයි. චිත්‍ර ඇඳලා එහෙම submit කරනවා කියන එක නෙවෙයි creativity කියන්නේ. Right? So you can be more creative while thinking about your research topic, right? You can think about your research design more creatively, right? You can think about the way of conducting your research more creatively, right? So you can think about more new innovative solutions to address your selected research problem and to fill the research gap as well. That is what we mean by the creativity under research. So that creative thinking help you to make your proposal more unique as well and the interesting one. Right? So that will be an interesting one for your reviewers as well. Right? If you try to be more creative and try to be more unique in your research study, so your topic, your research will be an interesting, unique one. Even in your proposal review, even in your final review, final viva defense as well. So that will be a plus point for you to get, more feedbacks, good reviews, and good marks as well. Right? So, and it is also really important to anticipate potential problems. Anticipate potential problems means, that no research process is perfect. No, initially we can't assure that our research processes are perfect, 100% perfect. But the thing is, although we are having challenges, we have to find out some, a way to solve and some way to face those challenges. We have to identify the challenges and that you might face throughout your research journey, and you have to find out some way to handle them. For an example, you have to check whether, okay, will it be hard to find out some participants for your data collection part? You have to check whether, okay, is there any delays? Some delays can be happening in my data collection part or not. Likewise, the potential challenges, potential problems should be identified. Try to identify it in advance. So by recognizing this type of issues, problems earlier in your research journey, you can also identify how you can plan to handle them in advance. That is also a really good thing when you design your research proposal, right? So you should identify some potential challenges that might be happen through your research journey, right? That may be regarding your data collection part, that may be regarding your testing part, that may be regarding your implementation part, that may be regarding your participant selection part, right? So you have to search, you have to identify the potential challenges, potential problems that might be happen, that might be faced in your research journey, and you have to find out some solutions as well to handle them. And you must also think through your experiment or the data collection process very carefully. So that will show you that you considered how your research will actually be carried out in a real world setting, right? Without, I mean, not just based on only on the theory. You can have some experiments and real data collection processes as well to show you that how you apply that setting in a real world setting, right? So otherwise your reviewers may think like, okay, these students will go through only the theories and the scientific knowledge. And another very important thing is the timeline, timetables, right? So your proposal should include a realistic timeline. Timetable means timeline actually, right? So research timeline. You know that the research take more time now. So it is not a easy work, right? So within 1 or 2 days, we can't complete the research. So you need to have a proper plan explaining how long each steps of your study will take. So for that, you need to have a good timeline, a good timetable. So you can have a Gantt chart as well to develop your timeline for your study, including all the steps of your study. So that will help you to stay well organized and even to ensure that you can complete your study within the given deadlines as well, right? So when we develop a timeline, we stick to the deadlines that are given by the university now. So you can ensure that you can complete your study within the given timelines, given deadlines by the university as well. So that timeline is also very important when it comes to the proposal. And so these are the key components that should be included in a proposal. So obviously the title is there. That is the first thing. So your proposal should have a title, right? So a raw title. So that should be a concise one, but a descriptive one. And it should be, it should give a very clear idea of what your research is about, right? It should be a clear, concise one. You should avoid long, confusing titles, right? So you should make sure that your title includes some keywords that related to your study that you are going to conduct, right? So we talk more about the titles, right? So that title is one of the major things that should be included in your research proposal. And the next thing is the introduction part and the background, or else let's say, sometimes we call it as significance of the study, right? So very important, significance of the study. You should explain what is your research topic, and you should explain why it is important, the significance of conducting your study. You have to give a brief overview about the context, background of your study, right? You have to mention some basic facts and the trends, some real life issues that related to your topic, some basic background knowledge. If there are any theoretical scientific knowledge that related to your topic, you have to give that background knowledge and the significance of your study. So that will helpful for your readers to understand why your research matters to the community, right? So that is also very important part when it comes to research proposal. And then The next important thing is statement of the problem, research aim and the objectives. Right? So statement of the problem is there along with the research aim and the objectives, or research questions is also there. Right? You have to clearly describe your research problem that you want to study in your research. And then the research aim should be there, right? That means the overall goal of your research, right? That is the overall big goal of your research that you are going to achieve. And then objectives should be there, right? We talk about the characteristics of the objectives and the goals, right? So your objectives means they are the smallest, more manageable steps that help you to achieve your big goal, big aim, right? So that should be a very clear, very specific one, more achievable one. So you can have more objectives, right? So you may have one aim and you can have more than one or two objectives, right? So we simply, we break down our big aim, big goal into small, more manageable, more achievable objectives, right? So that is another important thing, right? The title should be there, introduction part should be there. You have to explain the significance of your study, and you have to explain your statement of the research problem. And you had to explain, you had to add your research aim, and the research objective should be there. And you can add a literature, small literature review as well. So this is smaller than your final literature review. So you can add a small literature review part. So that is another very important part. So in this section, you can show that you have read something, you have understood something like past studies related to your study, right? Your topic. You can, summarize the key findings from the other researchers, and you can explain how your study is different from the previous studies, and how your study is new, right? How your study is unique, right? So you can highlight your research gap referring to the existing research that have already been conducted, right? So that is also a most important part when it comes to research proposal, right? So better if you can mention the research gap as well. So this is where your research will contribute something fresh now. So you can explain, you can summarize the key findings you gathered from the other researchers, other findings, other researchers' ideas, other researchers' findings with relevance to your research topic, and you can even highlight the research gap. Like you can explain how your research become more unique and more different, and what about the research gap, right? You can explain it under literature review as well. And then another important part is the methodology, right? The research designing part and the data collection part, data analytical part, and the sampling technique that you are going to use, right? Simply the research design you have to explain, the methodology you have to explain, right? So in this part, what you have to explain is, you have to explain how you will carry out your research. That will include the research design, like whether you are going to conduct a quantitative study or a qualitative study, or whether you are going to apply the mixed method or not, or whether you are, what about the data collection method? For an example, whether you are going to apply a survey study, or whether you are going to conduct the interview, or whether you are going to have an observational study, or so on. You have to explain the data collection method, right? Data collection instrument as well. And you have to explain how you are planning to analyze the data, right? You can, if you are planning to apply some specific software, analytical softwares, you can mention it, right? If you are going to conduct some specific laboratory test or experiments, you can mention it. And if there are any specific sampling techniques, you can mention it. So this technique, this methodology section is really important, because it proves that your study is a well-planned one, and that can be more effective, because your reviewers can have some sort of confidence and idea that, okay, you have the confidence and you have the capability to carry it out and run your research. right? Because you clearly explain the path, right? Through this method, I'm going to conduct this research. This is the research design that I'm going to use, right? This research is a quantitative one. I'm going to collect the research, I'm going to collect the data through a survey study, online survey study. And I'm going to collect the data through a, let's say, a 5-point Likert scale questionnaire. And I'm going to have a one-to-one discussion and a qualitative study, let's say, and I'm going to analyze the collected quantitative data through SPSS software. And I'm going to, let's say you are going to do a laboratory test. I'm going to have the lab test for this type of techniques. You can clearly explain the process. So your reviewers have a good idea about the way that you are going to follow and continue and complete your study. So it is really important, right? So be very careful when you mention the things under methodology, right? And the timeline is another thing. So your proposal should also include a timeline, right? So we usually use the Gantt chart. So that will show you how long each of your part, each of your steps of your research will take, right? So it is often shows you using a Gantt chart, right? So usually we don't use tables, we use Gantt chart, right? So you can simply visualize the timelines, which outlines your schedules. That may be daily or monthly, by month, by week by week. You can categorize in either way. It is totally up to you. There are no any restrictions. You can have your own Gantt chart, but the final deadline should be stick to the deadlines that are given by the university. So that will be helpful for you to manage your time and also to show your supervisor that you have a plan for your work in a realistic manner, right? Because your supervisor will review your work, no? So he or she also have some sort of idea that, okay, this student have a good plan for their study realistically. So that is also good. And even we can have a good idea about your research plan as well, right? For your own purpose, to be on track, you can have your own research timeline, right? So, and other than that, in the research proposal, you can add, you can mention if there are any limitations of your study, right? Because you know that no research is a perfect one, no? So we may have some limitations, some boundaries, some challenges, right? To be honest, obviously, we may face so many challenges. For an example, we may have some limited access for the data. Sometimes time constraints happens even when we collect the data. Some restrictions happen even when we collect the data, right? Due to having some sample size or any, let's say, data collection, data analytical errors, limitations, challenges, boundaries happen. So you can clearly explain them. And if you feel like there are some limitations, if you feel like you may have some restrictions, even you do some testings or something, you can mention it. You can show that if you think that, I mean, if you are thinking critically and responsibly, you can show it under limitations. And another part is budget, right? Especially if your research need a funding, right? Usually in our university, we will not pay you any fundings. But if you have any specific budget, you can mention it under your research proposal. It is also really good. And there are some, research grant as well, right? There are some cases you can apply for research grant as well. So in that case, it is important to add a budget with proof, right? So if you have any specific budget for your development part or for your research study, you can add a specific budget in your research proposal, right? So you can explain how much money you need to have to complete your study, right? So if you are going to develop some, let's say a machine or something, you can give the budgeting part. in your research proposal. For an example, for the printing one, for the tools, and for the materials, right? So you can add the budget. So even if your research doesn't require big budget, if you have a very simple cost estimation, so you can add it under budget, right? So that is a optional one. So you also can add the budget as well in your proposal. And the last one is the references, same as your final research report. So your proposal also must include the list of references. So in your proposal also, when you write your introduction and the literature review part especially, you can add the in-text citation, right? Don't miss them out. You need to have in-text citation and the end referencing as well, right? So remember that your proposal also must include the list of references. Right? If you refer any books, if you refer any articles, any websites you have used to support your background of your study or to develop your literature or to develop your methodology part, you have to add the references, right? You can follow the correct referencing styles as well. For your research, right? For your undergraduate research, we ask you to use APA style 7th edition. Other than that, there are so many referencing style, MLA, Harvard, Chicago. There are so many referencing styles. But we ask you to apply APA style, referencing style. So apply it for your in-text citations and the list of end references as well. That is another important thing, right? So those are the major components which should be included in a research proposal, right? Okay, so here I have just added a few more details about the introduction part and the other components. So in the introduction part, um, so this is actually the first part, no? So that is one of the most important section of your research proposal, right? So in this part, what you have to do is you have to clearly introduce your topic, right? You have to explain the general idea, general area of your research that you are going to focusing on. For an example, if your topic is about, let's say, mm, um, online learning. So you should explain, you should briefly introduce the concepts, and also you have to explain, okay, what part of online learning you are going to focus on, right? So is it about study motivation? Is it about the academic performance? Is it about the teaching performance, teachers motivation? Is it about the student side or so on? You have to explain your focusing part, right, with relevant to your research area. And you should also clearly state the purpose of your study, right? The significance, right? Why are you doing this study? You have to explain what are you hoping to achieve at the end of this study, right? You have to clearly explain it. And because it helps us as the reviewers to understand the direction and the goal of your research, right? So your purpose should be clearly explained to your reviewers in a simple and a clear and a direct manner, right? So you have to explain the problem that you want to study through your research. And another important thing is the significance of the study. You have to explain why your study is important. What is the reason, right? What are the benefits will it bring to the community? What are the benefits will it bring to the field that you are following, that you are working, right? Will it be important or will it help us to improve something in the engineering field, let's say, right? So you have to explain the significance of your selected research study, right? And with relevant to the research gap also you have to explain it. And the background, basically the background information regarding your research topic should be given, right? A deeper idea of your study should be given on the introduction part. And then the problem statement, aim and the objective is the next important thing, right? So this is where you explain your research problem. that you aim to address within your research. So this is actually the core of your study, right? You have to define your core issue that you are trying to you are trying to explore in your study, right? You should describe the problem and you should show why it is important to address and why it is need to give more attention to this problem. So it can be something that has not been fully addressed in previous research or in real world issues, or that can be something that has never been addressed previously. So anything, right? You have to explain the problem statement. You have to give the statement of the problem. So your readers may understand the focus of your study while reading the problem statement. And once you have clearly stated the problem, and then the next step is your research aim, or let's say your overall goal, overall purpose of your study. That is the big picture of what you want to achieve through the research study. Right? So that is what you are going to achieve at the end of your study, your ultimate goal, right? So it should be a very clear, very concise one, right? So you can add your aim as well. Then other than that, you can break down your big aim into more smaller, manageable, measurable parts, right? More specific tasks, right? So those are the more specific milestone that you have in your research with relevance to the research goal, right? So the objectives also should follow the SMART category as well. It should be a timely one, should be a realistic, achievable one, it should be a clear one, it should be a specific one, right? And it should be relevant to your research study and to your final goal as well. So that will guide you throughout your research, right? So at the end of your research journey, you can check whether you have achieved your objectives or not, right? And then you can add a literature review as well, as I earlier told you. You can explain what you already know about your topic, right? So in this section, you can provide some, overview about the current knowledge that you gather through the past research papers, scholarly articles, or any review papers or so, right? So, or else let's say the theories that have been proposed. And you need to, search for more scholarly sources, such as the research papers, books, academic articles, right? You have to gather the information through different sources to build up that foundation for your study. So that should be addressed in the literature review, right? So you should ensure that you are not repeating what has already been done, and you should show that your research is based on some credible, well-established information as well. And other than that, you can state the key theories related to your topic. And if there are any methods, if there are any specific techniques, any phenomena that you can investigate, or if there are any experimental studies which have already been conducted based on your research topic, you can state them clearly. And additionally, once you summarize the existing knowledge, you need to identify and explain the research gap as well, right? You have to highlight why your study is needed, how it become very unique, right? What is the gap, right? How it become different, right? You should do something that, that has not done previously, right? It should be something new. It should be something new while adding at least add more value to the existing work, right? So you should clearly explain the research gap. And yes, so that can be explained on the literature review part. And then the methodology, or let's say the research design part, you should explain. You can provide your overall plan, right? So that means you can explain the steps you will take to conduct your research, right? For an example, you can explain how we are going to collect the data, how we are going to analyze the data, right? What about the sampling technique, right? What about the research method, right? Whether you are going to apply the qualitative one or quantitative one or a mixed method, right? So, let's say, how we are going to gather the information that are needed for your study, right? There are many more ways to collect the data now. So what is the method? What is the instrument that you are going to collect the data? Or if you are going to conduct an experiment, or if you are going to conduct an experiment to test some hypothesis, right? In a control environment, you can state them. If you are going to conduct online questionnaires to collect the responses from different participants remotely, you can explain it, right? And the data analytical analysis plan, you can explain, right? How we are going to analyze the collected data, right? So in qualitative one, in quantitative one, how we are going to analyze? Right? If it is regarding the quantitative data, how we are going to analyze? What is the tool that you are going to analyze the data? Right? So you have to explain that plan. And then moving on to the timelines, right? Timeline, budget, and the limitations and the referencing part. So timeline. So in this section, as I earlier told you, you have to show the allocated time for each and every step of your study. Like you had to explain how long it will take to complete each and every step of your study. You had to visually represent and you had to visually show how you are going to carry out your study while giving the timelines as well, right? You can simply use a Gantt chart, right? In Excel, you can simply develop a Gantt chart. So that is not a big work. You can easily develop it. You can break down your study into more small phases, such as, let's say, introduction, literature development part, proposal writing. Let's start with the proposal writing, proposal development, and the literature review part, data collection part, questionnaire development part, data collection part, data analysis part. And let's say if you're going to do some lab test, you can allocate some specific time frame for the lab test experiment. And for the final report writing part also, you can allocate some time, because it takes more time for you to write your final report. So you can allocate more specific time for the final report writing. So likewise, you can break down your big work into more specific works and you can allocate the time, right? So in your Gantt chart, you would show duration of each and every steps and how long each steps will take, right? Stick to the final deadlines. And then the budget, right? So if you have any budgets, if you have any costings associated with your research, you can add it, right? If your study requires any fundings for the resources, you can add the budgeting, right? With the proper proof. If you have some costs for the materials, equipment, or any software installation. So if you need to have some incentives for the participants, right? So you can add the budget and the quotations as well. And if you have any limitations, right? Any challenges, any constraints, you can add them as well in your research proposal. You can brief them out, the potential risk that can be happen that you might face throughout your research journey. You can, uh, practically අපිට එන්න පුළුවන් limitations අපිට හිතන්න පුළුවන් lab test එකක් කරනකොට අපිට limitation කියන්නේ අපිට සමහරලාට එනවා environment එක control කරන්න බැරි අවස්ථා එනවා. ඒ වගේ limitations එන්න පුළුවන් වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා. ඔයාලට ඒවා state කරන්න පුළුවන්. මේ limitations කියන්නේ ඔයාලට නිකන් මට වෙලාව නැහැ, මට මේක කරන්න වෙලාව නැහැ කියන එක නෙවෙයි. මට ජොබ් එකට යන්න තියෙනවා, ඒ නිසා මට report එක ලියන්න වෙලාව නැති වෙයි කියලා ඒවා නෙවෙයි limitations කියන්නේ. අපි ඔය practically lab test එකක් කරනකොට එහෙම නැත්නම් සමහරවිට restrictions එනවා data collect කරන්න යන්න පුළුවන් සීමාවක් තියෙනවා. සමහරලාට අපි මොකක් හරි ෆැක්ටරි එකකින් data collect කරන යනකොට limits එනවා. ඒ වගේ මොනවා හරි restrictions, limitations, specific දේවල් තියෙනවා නම් මොනවා හරි potential risk factors තියෙනවා නම් challenges තියෙනවා නම් specific දේවල්, right? So you can state them, and especially the references, referring using the correct referencing style, you can add the reference list as well, right? Yes. So this is a proposal guideline, not in our university one. So this is a good guide. So you can refer to write a proposal. I will show it. This one. This is a proposal. It says proposal writing guideline of the University of Melbourne. This is a good guide for the engineering students, science and engineering students, and it gives you some details about the introduction part and the research question, research designing part. I have already added the link. Anyways, I will upload this material on LMS as well. Yes, so it shows the cover page designing and the thesis outlining, abstract part. In your research proposal, no need to add the abstract, right? For the final research report, you should add the abstract. It is not necessary to add the abstract in your proposal. And the referencing, yes, this is a good guide. So I will upload this one as well on LMS, and you can refer to any source materials on Google. And other than this one, right, so you already received the university guidelines as well. So it shows the guidelines, basic guidelines for your research proposal writing, right? So the maximum word count is 4,000 and the minimum word count is 2,500 words. So it should, your word count of your research proposal should not be less than 2,500 and should not be greater than 4,000 words. So you should be stick to that length of the proposal writing as well. And the rest of the details are given. We are clearly asked you to apply the APA's referencing styles as well. And the other formatting, right? So be careful even when you, develop your research proposal regarding the formatting, right? So stick to these formats and do not add any page borders, right? Do not add, usually when we develop academic report, research report, and academic report and assignments, we don't add any borders, page borders, right? In school time, we add the borders, but in university level, in high school and the university level, we don't add any page borders, right? So in academic writing, and yes, and the basic formattings for the headings and the other numbering part, and the table captions and the figure captions are given. Line spacing and everything is given. For the in-text citations and the in-referencing APS style should be used. And I have already shared the APS style guidelines, right? So I think 1 or 2 materials I have already uploaded on LMS. Even you can apply the Mendeley or any other online tools as well. to add the in-text citations and the in-references. So you don't need to worry about the other things. So you can automatically update them, right, through the settings in Mendeley and the other online platforms. And the proposal presentation guidelines also given. So you should do a proposal presentation. So usually it would be a online presentation. You should prepare a proposal presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and you should present it verbally to the review panel. So they will give you the comments, and the cover page is given. No need to add that assignment cover page here. Just add this proposal cover page, and you can add the title and your name and the registration. And here you can select your area, right? We have added all three. You can select your thing and remove the other. Yes, so this is about the university guidelines. And so you can refer to those guidelines as well. And yes, so moving on to the monitoring part and the evaluation part of the research proposal. It actually depends on the nature of your research project, right? To ensure that your research stay on track and the objectives are being met, the evaluations and the monitoring part is done. So usually it is based on the nature and the scope of your project. So the way you monitor and you evaluate your research will depend largely on the size and the scope and the nature of your research project, right? For an example, if for a small and a short-term study, that may only require a very occasional check-ins to ensure the progress. But if we have a very large and a long-term research project, so that may need to have more detail and frequent reporting and the progress reviews as well. For your research, final research, you will be having a progress review as well, right? Once you get the approval, you can start your research, and once after 1.5 months or 2 months, I can't exactly remember the dates, we will be having a progress review as well, just to check the progress of your study, right? So we will notify you up to which point you should complete. So then we can check your progress and we can adjust, and we can have a review board again, and we can do some adjustment if necessary. So that will be a good point for you to further develop, and even for you to be on track with your study. So that will be a good guide. And especially if your project is actually, it is a long-term project. So regular detailed reports are necessary. So you need to have a proper, communication with your supervisor, especially, and also with us. So that you can submit time to time, you can submit your, chapter reviews for your supervisors and get the feedbacks. And to avoid any delays that can be happen, right? And also to improve your progress as well, you can have that monitoring and the evaluation part with your supervisors. And regular reviews can be done, right? Even through the progress reviews, we will evaluate them. And some suggestions about the changings in your objectives, in your research, let's say the methods or analytical part, everything can be adjusted upon you do the monitoring and the evaluation part, right? So that will depend on the scope and the nature, and also your requirements as well. Right, so the big challenge of doing that happened during the proposal writing is, right, the time constraint. That is the biggest challenge we have. And another thing is, the most worst challenge is not having the adequate background research, right? That is one of the biggest challenge when we write a proposal, that is not having enough background research to build our research proposal. If you don't conduct a thorough, a good research and review on your topic background, you may fail to address the key issues in your proposal. So this can result in your proposal that, you know, based on incomplete and some outdated information as well, right? A strong proposal need to demonstrate that you fully understand the existing literature and the reviews and the research related to your topic. So without that knowledge, without that background knowledge, you may miss some important aspects of the selected problem, and or else you may overlook some critical gaps in your current research as well. So that lack of adequate background research knowledge is a big challenge when we develop our proposal. So this happened due to having the limited time frame as well. Since we are having a very limited and a packed time frame, sometimes we skipped doing thorough literature review, right? So in that case, we missed out having adequate uh, background research. So that is a big problem when we develop a proposal. And a poorly structured proposal is another problem, right? So that is another challenge. Creating a well-organized, when we create an organized proposal, because a poor structured proposal, a poor organized proposal can confuse your readers, your reviewers, and that will make it really difficult for them to follow and understand your ideas. Right? So it is really essential that each section, each subsection of your research proposal is clearly explained and clearly labeled and logically explained, logically follows from one to the next step, right? Otherwise, your audience will be in a trouble because they will miss out your idea. They can't even understand your idea, right? So your proposal should be a very organized one, well-organized one. Otherwise, reviewers can't ensure that you have done a good work or not, right? So that may be regarding your objectives, methodology, or significance of your study. So whatever the things you are mentioning, it should be in a very organized manner and a structured manner, right? අපි හිතේ හිතන තැන්වල එක එක දේවල් ලියලා තිබ්බම අඩුම ගානේ ඔයාටවත් ඔයාගේ ප්‍රොපෝසල් එක කියවලා අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරගන්න බෑ ඔයා මොකද්ද කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. right? එහෙම දේවල් වෙනවා. right? අර අපි බල කරනවට ඩිග්‍රී එක කම්ප්ලීට් කරන්න ඕනේ වට ටග් ගාලා මොනවා හරි සබ්මිට් කරනවා. කොහෙන් හරි කොපි පේස්ට් කරලා සබ්මිට් කරනවා. ප්‍රොපෝසල් ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක කරලා ක්වෙස්චන් ඇන්ඩ් ආන්සර් සෙෂන් එකේදී රිවිවර්ස්ලා ප්‍රශ්න අහනකොට ස්ටුඩන්ට් තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ එයා මොකද්ද කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. right? රිවිවර්ට තේරෙන්නෙත් නැහැ අපිට තේරෙන්නෙත් නැහැ රිපෝට් එක බැලුවම ප්‍රොපෝසල් එක බැලුවම මොකද්ද මේ ළමයා කරන්නේ? right? එන්සර් ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එක හරි ස්ට්‍රක්චර් එකට හරි විදිහට clearly explain කරන්න ඔයා මොකද්ද ඔයාගේ research එකේ කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. research problem introduction එකේ ඉඳන් අන්තිම තැනට එනකම් reference එකට යනකම් හරි organized structure එකක් හොඳ structure එකකට ඔයා proposal එක ලියන්න, right? ඔයාම proposal එක ලියවනවා ඔයා දන්නවා මොකද්ද මේ proposal එකකින් වෙන්නේ මොකද්ද මම research එකේ කරන්න යන්නේ කියලා. right? සමහර වෙලාවට අර idea එක තිබුණාට අපිට ඒක explain කරන්න බැරි වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා. අපිට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ explain කරගන්න. හැබැයි අපිට idea එක තියෙනවා නම් report එකේ මොනවා හරි misunderstanding නැත්නම් confusion වෙන තැනක් තිබුණොත් අපිට explain කරන්න හරි පුළුවන් question and answer session එකේදී. හැබැයි proposal එක හොඳටම අවුල් තැනක් නම් හොඳටම structure එක අවුල් වෙලා නම් reviewer එතනින්ම disappoint වෙනවා. reviewer තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ ඔයාගේ method එක මොකද්ද, ඔයා කොහොමද analyze කරන්න යන්නේ, ඔයාගේ research design එක මොකද්ද, ඔයාගේ problem එක මොකද්ද, ඉස්සරහම ඔයාගේ research problem එක මොකද්ද, ඇයි ඔයා මේ research එක කරන්නේ, right? ඔයාගේ objectives මොනවාද, මේ objectives කොහොමද ඔයා achieve කරන්න යන්නේ, ඔයා හැමදේම step by step clearly explain කරන්න ඕනේ. එහෙම නැති වුණාම තමයි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ. Right? And another thing is, right, the worst case, limited time to gather the information and write your proposal. Right? Time management is a very common challenge, right? So that is a very common and worst challenge, right? So writing a proposal, it requires a, a significant time, because we need to gather the information, we have to write the proposal, we have to collect, sometimes we have to revise it time to time. We can't write a proposal, it is, I mean, first time we can't we can't write a perfect proposal. And because we are students now, so sometimes we have to revise our proposal time to time, again and again, before we submit, before the deadline, proposal submission deadline. Sometimes more than 2-3 times we have to revise our proposal once we gather the information. That happens. So many researchers, most of the researchers, students, they struggle with the time constraints, especially if they have other responsibilities like coursework, assignments, if they are working, right? If they have family matters, right? So they are struggling with this time constraint. Obviously, you will struggle with this time constraint since you are dealing with your work life. And if you are, if you have a family life, like if you are married, so you have another trouble, right? You have to struggle with another problem, right? Other than the coursework, other than the assignments, exams, right? So you may have exams, courseworks, assignments, presentations, right? And the work related projects and the family matters, so many time constraints happen. So if you don't allocate enough time for each and every steps, you may end up like rushing through the writing part and overlooking important details, so that can compromise the quality of your proposal. So it is essential to create a very realistic schedule to give yourself enough time, right, to conduct thorough research, and even to revise your work. You should give a realistic time. You should give yourself enough time even to revise your work, right? In case of having any problems, you need to have a proper time. You need to have enough time to revise your proposal, right? So you should have that time management skill as well. And the budgeting is sometimes another problem, right? So you need to have a realistic and a justifiable budget. So that is also quite challenging, because budgeting requires some careful thoughts about all the expenses involved in your research, that may be regarding the travel expenses, data collection, softwares, installation part, or any other material related, or any other expenses. So you need to have some clear idea about all the expenses. So that may be quite, challenging one. So, I mean, to predict exactly how much money will it be required for our study, to predict that one, it will be quite challenging one. So because we can't exactly say this much of cost will be taken, so that budget development must be accurate and a justifiable one, because to convince the reviewers that you have a solid plan for managing the resources need to complete your research, you need to have some adequate, justifiable, and a realistic budget. That budget development is sometimes, if your project is a big and let's say a high cost one, that budget development one is quite challenging one. But otherwise, that is not a problem, right? And if you are doing a team project, if you are in your undergraduate project, so that is an individual project, so no issues. So you need to communicate with your supervisor and the university itself. But if you are doing a team project, let's say, so due to having lack of coordination, so miscommunications can be happen, conflicts can be happen due to having coordination issues. So when the research proposal involves multiple team members, let's say 2 to 5 members, so lack of coordinations can slow down your progress, right? Your team members might have different interpretation of your research objectives, your research methods, and how to write certain research report sections. So that will lead you to have so many confusions and conflicts. Even that will delay your research completing part, right? That will delay your entire research journey, right? So if you are doing a teamwork, if you are doing a team project, so it is really essential to maintain a clear communication, right? To understand everyone's role and their responsibility, to ensure that everyone understand each and everyone's responsibility and the role. Otherwise, you can't continue a team research. And you need to have a clear, idea, right? Although you are having a complex idea, you need to have a clear idea, right? Your research idea may be complex. Sometimes you may feel like it may be difficult to achieve, but your idea should be a clear one with having more detailed information. So then somehow you can try to achieve it, right? But without having some, concise and clear information, you can't even try to achieve your targets. And another major thing is failing to adhere to the submission deadlines or formatting requirements can result in rejections. So your proposal is often rejected if it doesn't follow the submission deadlines and the formatting requirements which are set by your university and the funding body as well. Right? So be very serious regarding the submission deadlines and the formatting requirements. Deadline means deadline, right? So be very serious regarding these deadlines and the formatting requirements as well. සමහර ළමයි රිසර්ච් එක පර්ෆෙක්ට් කරලා රිසර්ච් රිපෝට් එක නම් අන්තිමයි සබ්මිට් කරනවා. ෆෝමැට් කියලා දෙයක් ඇත්තෙම නැහැ. right? ෆෝමැට් එකක් අපි දෙනවනේ. ඒ ෆෝමැට් එකට පොඩ්ඩක්වත් ඇඩ්ජස්ට් වෙලා නැතුව අඩුම ගානේ ටයිම්ස් නිව් රෝමන්වත් දාලා නැතුව සබ්මිට් කරනවා. එහෙමනම් කරන්න එපා. රිපෝට් එක බලපු ගමන් අපි නෙමෙයි රිවිව් කරන්නේ, එක්ස්ටර්නල් රිවිවර්ස්ලා ඇවිල්ලා තමයි ඔයගොල්ලෝගේ රිපෝට් ඔයාලගේ රිසර්ච් එක රිවිව් කරන්නේ. ඒගොල්ලෝ රිපෝට් එක දිගාලා බලනකොටම පේන්නේ රිපෝට් එකේ වැරදි. ඔයාලගේ රිසර්ච් අයිඩියා එකට ඩීප් යන්න කලින්ම රිපෝට් එක දිගාරිද්දි කවර් පේජ් එකෙන්ම එයාලා ඩිසපොයින්ට් වෙනවා. රිපෝට් එකේ ෆෝමැටින් කියලා දෙයක් ඇත්තෙම නැහැ. එහෙම දේවල් වෙනවා. So be very serious regarding the formatting, right? So you will marks deductions can be happen due to having these formatting errors and the submission delays as well. Sometimes your reports will be rejected due to submission delays, and or else mark deductions can be happen due to formatting. Obviously, for the formattings, we will deduct marks, and the submission deadlines errors, submission delays. Sometimes your reports and the projects will be rejected or will reduce marks. So that is not a good thing, no, because you will have, I think, 6 credits for the research. So don't, skip these type of guidelines and the formatting things, right? Because C එකක් ආව කියන්නේ grade එක ගොඩාක් අඩු වෙනවා. credit 6කට C එකක් ආවොත් එහෙම ලකුණු ගොඩාක් අඩු වෙනවා. credit ගන්න. Right? So be very serious regarding these issues that can be practically that can be happen. That is what I am telling, right? Like you have to be very serious about the word count and the font sizes, referencing style, right? සමහර වෙලාවට referencing list එකට ගියාම APA style එක නෙවෙයි මොනවත් ඒකේ නැහැ. නිකම්ම අර අපි ඉස්කෝලේ ළමයි දාන්නේ නිකම්ම සයිට් එක කොපි කරලා දාන්නේ අන්න ඒ වගේ දාලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේ නම් කරන්න එපා. Right? It is not good for you and also for the university as well. Right? So regarding the word count, regarding the font sizes, referencing style, and the order of the sections, right? So you should follow the logical order now. So when you write your proposal and your final report as well, so you should follow the logical order and the font sizes of each sections and the proposal body and the research report body. So everything should be followed, and the Gantt chart. So everything should be in order. right? So not following these type of instructions can make your proposal look unprofessional. So that is not a good thing for yourself and also for the university as well, right? Because the external reviewers will come and look at your research, and also they will review. So also try to double check your guidelines, try to proofread your report proposals, and ensure that your proposal meets every requirements, because sometimes very small mistakes like the formatting errors and the missing sections that can enough to cause for rejections, right? So be very serious. Sometimes, although the students have addressed the research aim and the objectives in the research presentation, proposal presentation, but in the proposal, they miss to mention the objectives. That is a small error, but they will reject your proposal, right? So be very serious regarding these issues. So you have to understand the background well when you write your proposal, right? So you should fully understand the background of your topic before you start writing. Spend enough time to review past research papers. I hope you have more than enough time now to review your past research papers and the articles and the academic sources related to your topic. So this is not only ensure that your proposal is grounded in the existing knowledge, but also you can add some credibility to your work. So spend more time to, gather more information to your background support, right? So when you refer to the relevant studies, you show that your study is well informed and build on what has already been explored, what has already been done. So give some credibility, some value addition for your study. Do more background study, and always try to make your own schedule, and always try to start early as much as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. Don't wait till the deadlines, right? Start early and create the own schedule for the writing part as well. Allocate your time for each and every part of your proposal, including the research, writing, revision, right? Everything for the reviews, article review, reading, everything. For everything, allocate a time, right? Then you can ensure that you are not rushing at the last minute, right? So the more time you give yourself, you can improve your quality of your proposal as well, right? So create your timeline while helping you to yourself to keep organized and keep well focused on meeting the specific goals of your day-to-day tasks and academic works as well, and comply with the guidelines as well, right? Comply with the guidelines that are given by the university. Adhere to the submission deadline, especially, right? Carefully read the guideline before you start writing, right? Once you initially you can simply type the research body or proposal body, and then you can think about the formatting and the word count, right? The referencing style. You can think about them. You can proofread, right? You can even get the feedback from your supervisors as well. Don't hesitate to ask for feedback from your supervisors and from your work colleagues as well, right? You can get the help to proofread your reports, right? Because your supervisors are there for you to help. So go to them and ask for help to, ask for their feedbacks, right? Before submitting the proposal, even you can ask for their feedbacks, right? They can provide valuable insights into how you can improve even your proposal, right? That feedbacks help you to see the things from very, fresh perspectives, and also you can adjust, you can modify the sections, you can clearly adjust them, right? So you can have clearly, regular discussions with your supervisors regarding the progress, right? So it is really important before the final submission. And another very important thing is before the final submission, let's say the proposal submission, of course, for the final report submission, you should do a proofreading. That can be a self proofread, or else you can give your report for someone else. There are some, parties who do the proofreading. So then do the proofreading. Even you by yourself can do the proofreading, or else you can get the help from your supervisor as well, right? So that is essential before you submit your proposal and your final report as well. After completing your proposal, take your time to carefully proofread it. Right? You can check the grammar mistakes. You can check the unclear sentences. You can check whether is there any inconsistencies. You can check whether you have mentioned anything wrong in your reports. Right? So it is good if you can overlook your report. Right? Um, you can have someone else to proofread your report. Otherwise, if you don't have someone else, you can do your self proofreading as well to ensure that your proposal is, well organized and professional before you submit it for the evaluation. That is how actually we can avoid some issues, errors that can be happening even in the proposal. right? proofreading කියන්නේ ඔයාලා proposal එක ලියලා ඉවර වෙලා submit කරන්න කලින් ආයි මුල ඉඳලා අගට යනකම් reference එකේ අගට යනකම්ම ආපහු පාරක් බලන්න. කියවලා බලන්න එකින් එකට මොන හරි වැරදි තියනවද? ඔයාට මොන හරි mistakenly මොන හරි අපිට මෙහෙම mistakes වෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ. මොන හරි mistakenly add වෙලා තියනවද? මොන හරි වැරදි දේවල් mention වෙලා තියනවද? copy paste වෙලා තියනවද? මොන credit කියන්නේ acknowledgement එකක් වෙලා නැද්ද review part එකේදී citations add වෙලා නැද්ද මේ වගේ දේවල් අපිට notify කරගන්න පුළුවන් proof read කරන්න. ඔයාට self proof read කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් supervisor ට දීලා හරි නැත්නම් proof read කරන professional bodies ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒකට proof read කරලා මොනවා හරි issue ඒගොල්ලෝ notify කරනවා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපිටත් පුළුවන් self proof read එකක් කරන්න. අපි සාමාන්‍ය report එක දෙන්න කලින් අපි මුලින්ම අගටම ආපහු කියවලා බලන්න ඕනේ දෙතුන් පාරක්. එතකොට අපිටම තේරෙනවා අපි අපේ අතින් වෙලා තියෙන mistakes. Right? That may be a grammar mistake. That may be a small mistake in your objective writing. That may be regarding your methodological development part. Right? So you can identify your errors by yourself through the proofreading that should be done before you submit your final report. Right? So that is about the proposal writing. I will share all the guidelines as well. Already I shared you the university guidelines and the other materials. I will upload on LMS. Since there is a technical issue on LMS, I will check it by tomorrow. If it resolved by tomorrow, I'll upload on LMS. Or else I will share the materials via WhatsApp groups. I will see by tomorrow if it resolves. I will upload all materials, reference materials on LMS, right? Yes, so that is all about the research proposal. So if I go back today, we had a look on the proposal writing part and the purpose we discussed, and the major characteristics and the components we discussed. So one by one, we had a look on the components of a research proposal. And we discussed about the challenges that can be happen, and we discussed how we can overcome the challenges. Right? So I hope you know the way of drawing the Gantt chart. So if you simply open the Excel, so you can see the Gantt chart formats are there, right? So you can simply go to the simple Gantt chart. Right, there are so many format templates, so you can select any. Right, so here I select simple Gantt chart format. So once you open the Excel, it will show the templates of Gantt charts. So you can select any Gantt chart formats, right? So you can add the task, right? Here you can add any task here. and the timeline. So everything you can develop here. So no need to add, you know, uh, tables manually like the school's kids, right? In school time, actually, we add them on manual tables now, so no need to add them like that manually on tables. So you can use the Excel and add the Gantt charts as well, right? So you can use any formats. There are so many formats for so many templates. So you can use any and regarding the abstract writing, right, we talk about the abstract writings. So since we didn't have any enough time to, have in class, practical sessions write abstract, I will try to find out some abstract writing guidelines as well. So I found this one. I will share this with you guys, so then you can refer it. So it shows you some few examples as well, right? The way of writing abstract. Yes, so this is a very good guide. So I will share this with you. And this is also regarding the abstract writing, the way of writing very descriptive and informative abstract, and the key factors, key parts should be included in the abstract. Some reference materials are also given. So I will share these two materials as well. Within couple of days, I will share these materials. Yes. So that is all about the things I need to discuss today. Any questions up to this point? Any questions regarding proposal submissions or anything? I hope regarding the deadlines, you might not have any problems since you have more than enough time. This time, actually, we gave you more than enough time for your proposal writing and the other the part as well than the previous batches. So I believe that you don't have enough, you don't have any problems with the deadlines. If you have any problems, you can reach myself or Ms. Suvini regarding this final research. Okay, seems you don't have any questions or clarifications. So then we can wrap up the session for today. And thank you very much for joining. And have a nice day. Thank you.